Forget everything you think you know about chameleons. You have probably seen those viral videos of a chameleon walking across a pile of colorful sunglasses and changing color to match every single one of them. Well, I hate to break it to you, but those videos are 100% fake. In fact, if a chameleon actually tried to match its background like a secret agent, it would probably fail miserably. So why do they really do it? And how on earth can a lizard turn from dull brown to neon turquoise in under 2 seconds? Today, we are diving deep into the secret physics and hidden biology of the world's most impressive shapeshifters. To understand the chameleon, we first have to bust the biggest myth in biology. For decades, even scientists believed that chameleons changed color for camouflage. It makes sense, right? You are a slow-moving lizard in a world full of hungry snakes and birds. You want to blend in. But it turns out, most chameleons are already naturally camouflaged. In their relaxed state, they are usually a leafy green or a muddy brown. They already match their environment perfectly without even trying. The crazy color changes you see on National Geographic, those are not about hiding, they are about screaming. Think of a chameleon's skin less like a camouflage suit and more like a high-tech billboard or a mood ring. When a male chameleon sees a rival, he does not want to hide. He wants to look as big, bright, and intimidating as possible. He wants to say, "Hey, this is my tree, get lost." He will flare up into brilliant yellows, oranges, and reds to show off his health and dominance. On the flip side, if he is trying to impress a female, he will put on a light show that would put a Las Vegas neon sign to shame. And if he loses a fight, he will turn a dark, dull brown to signal surrender and tell the winner, "Okay, you win. Please do not bite me." But the real magic is not why they do it, it is how they do it. For a long time, we thought chameleons worked just like octopuses or squids. Those animals use things called iridophores, which are basically tiny sacs of liquid pigment in their skin. When the animal squeezes a muscle, the sac expands and the color becomes visible. But in 2015, a group of physicists at the University of Geneva discovered that chameleons are doing something much more sophisticated. They are not just using ink, they are using nanotechnology. Underneath the chameleon's outer skin is a special layer of cells called iridophores. These cells contain millions of tiny, microscopic crystals called guanine nanocrystals. These are not pigments like the paint on your wall. They are structural color. If you have ever looked at the back of a DVD or seen a shimmering oil slick on a puddle, you have seen structural color. It happens when light hits a physical structure and bounces off in a way that interference patterns make certain colors look incredibly bright. Inside the chameleon's skin, these nanocrystals are arranged in a perfect 3D lattice. When the chameleon is relaxed, the crystals are packed very close together. In this tight formation, they reflect short wavelengths of light, like blue and indigo. Now, remember that the chameleon also has yellow pigment in its skin. When you mix the blue light reflecting off the crystals with the yellow pigment in the skin, what do you get? You get that classic leafy green color we associate with them. But here is where it gets wild. When the chameleon gets excited or angry, its nervous system sends a signal to those skin cells. The cells actually stretch or contract, which changes the distance between those tiny crystals. As the space between the crystals increases, they start reflecting longer wavelengths of light. The blue shifts to green, then to yellow, then to orange, and finally to bright red. It is literally a living prism. The chameleon is tuned like a guitar string, and by changing the tension of its skin, it changes the color of light that bounces off its body. This is a massive discovery because it means chameleons are performing complex physics every time they get annoyed by a neighbor, and they have more than one layer of these cells. Scientists found a second, deeper layer of iridophores that have even larger crystals. These ones do not change color for show. Instead, they reflect near-infrared light. This is basically a built-in heat shield. Since chameleons are cold-blooded, they cannot regulate their own body temperature like we do. By shifting these deeper crystals, they can reflect the sun's heat on a hot day to stay cool or absorb it on a cold morning to wake up their metabolism. It is a two-layer system of visual communication and thermal regulation. Now, let us talk about the specific colors. Have you ever wondered why you never see a purple chameleon or a jet black one?
It all comes down to the types of pigments they do have. Beyond the crystal layers, they have xanthophores, which hold yellow and red pigments, and melanophores, which hold melanin. Melanin is the same stuff that gives human skin its tan, and in chameleons, it acts like a dimmer switch. The melanophores have long, finger-like projections that reach up through the other layers of skin. When the chameleon wants to get darker, it pushes the melanin to the surface. This covers up the bright crystals and makes the animal look dark brown or black. This is usually what happens when they are stressed, cold, or trying to absorb as much heat as possible.
But wait, there is more to the chameleon's toolkit than just skin. To be a master of the trees, you need more than just a fancy coat. Have you ever looked at a chameleon's eyes? They are the only land animals that can move their eyes completely independently of each other. Each eye has a 180-degree field of vision. This means they can look at a delicious grasshopper in front of them with one eye while watching for a hungry hawk behind them with the other eye. Their brain actually processes two separate images at the same time until they spot prey. Once they lock on, both eyes swivel forward to give them 3D depth perception for the strike.
And that strike is one of the fastest movements in the animal kingdom. A chameleon's tongue can be 2 times the length of its entire body. It is tucked away in their mouth like a loaded spring. When they fire, it accelerates from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 1/100th of a second. That is faster than a jet fighter. The tip of the tongue is a massive, sticky muscle that acts like a suction cup, grabbing the insect before it even knows what happened. The whole process, from the moment the tongue leaves the mouth to the moment the bug is being chewed, takes less than 500 milliseconds.
Even their feet are weird. They are zygodactylous, which is just a fancy way of saying their toes are fused into 2 opposing pads, like a pair of tongs. This gives them a literal vice grip on branches. Combined with their prehensile tail, which acts like a 5th limb, they are almost impossible to knock off a tree. So, if they have all these amazing adaptations, why did the color-changing myth stick around for so long? Probably because it makes for a great story. We love the idea of a creature that can disappear into any environment. And to be fair, some species, like the Smith's dwarf chameleon, actually do use their color-changing abilities to better match the specific predators hunting them. They can tell the difference between a bird and a snake, and they will adjust their brightness to be less visible to whichever one is looking. But for 90% of chameleons, it is all about the social life.
If you ever see a chameleon in a pet store or in the wild, and it is bright neon green or yellow, it is likely very stressed or very excited. If it is dark and dull, it might be trying to nap or just trying to warm up. They are wearing their hearts on their sleeves, or rather, their emotions on their skin.
Next time you see one of those videos of a chameleon changing color to match a smartphone or a piece of fruit, remember the nanocrystals. Remember that you are looking at one of nature's most advanced biological machines. They do not need to mimic a pair of sunglasses to be cool. They are already using physics that humans are still trying to figure out in our own labs. We are actually trying to copy chameleon skin to create better camouflage for soldiers and more efficient cooling systems for buildings. We are thousands of years behind a lizard that spends most of its day looking like a leaf.
Nature is full of these hidden high-tech secrets, from the way a gecko's feet use atomic-level forces to stick to glass, to the way a chameleon uses photonic crystals to talk to its friends. The world is much more vibrant and complex than it looks at first glance. So keep your eyes peeled. Maybe move them independently if you can, and never stop looking for the science behind the spectacle. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the chameleon, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-bending nature science. Until next time, stay curious.